Support for The Gaming Outsider is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming champions of the world. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just launched their 4th-generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the 4.0. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code THEGOCAST at manscaped.com. Happy December, GoCo. On episode 374, Zack, CB, and I take a trip down memory lane to remember the very first consoles we ever played. We'll also hear from the community on that as well. News is a bit light due to Black Friday and Cyber Monday, but we'll still talk about the possibility of a Mass Effect TV series. New games discussed include Pokémon Brilliant Diamond, Final Fantasy VII The First Soldier, Little Bug, Circa Infinity, and Phoenix Point Behemoth Edition. This is The Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to episode 374 of The Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community. It's Monday, November 29th. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me are my friends, Mr. Zach Parkerson. What's up, man?
I'm all right. Just so the listeners know, I'm still fighting the bronchitis from last week, so if you hear some weird-winded sentences or some stifled coughs, that's still on me. I'm sorry.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
For bronchitis? Yeah, I agree. I don't like it.
And also joining us, Chris Behrensmeyer. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on?
Having a good week, fellas?
I've had better.
You've had better? Well, yeah, you've been sick, so you got a little bit...
I've been sick, and then as the Patreon members will soon learn, I also had to suffer through a movie or two.
Yeah, it's true. We will get to that for sure, but want to give everybody a quick update before we get into the games we've been catching up on. First off, we are going to be having a new release date for episodes. They've been dropping normally on Wednesdays, with our Patreon subscribers getting them on Tuesday evening. That's going to be moved back a date just for scheduling purposes. So the episode, if you're hearing this, you probably know, are going to be dropping on Thursday afternoon and then Wednesday evening for Patreon subscribers. So just as a heads up, it's just going to be a slight delay for this first week, and then after that, it'll just be week to week to week. So just as a heads up there. Also, we had some really unfortunate, sad news this past week. A longtime listener and actually writer for The Gaming Outsider, Mr. Josh Ershman, sadly passed away this past week. We've all been kind of shaken up by it. It was very sudden. I did speak with his wife today, and she informed us that it was absolutely unexpected. He had some health issues prior, and we kind of were wondering if it might have had something to do with it, but he went to get checked for COVID, get some medication for some bronchitis, and unfortunately just cardiac arrest, and they were not able to resuscitate him. So he's very, very much missed by myself and the rest of us, and so many people from the community reached out and just said what an awesome guy he was. And if you had a chance, did you meet him, CB? I don't remember.
Yeah, he came into town here. He's actually been in my game.
He was here just a couple months ago.
Yeah, he was in my old game room.
Your old game room, yeah. Cause we all met at Old Chicago. He and his wife came down. Christina and Chad came out. If you never got a chance to interact with him, he was genuinely one of the nicest guys. I don't know a better word to describe it. He was just so generous and would do anything. He was always offering to hook me up with cables if I wanted to. He was willing to help me set up a PC if I wanted to get into gaming PC. Just super. Didn't he bring you back some peanut butter or something?
Yeah, he brought me some peanut butter from Hell's Kitchen up in Minneapolis. So
yeah, so
a literal gentle giant.
Yeah, he sent me comic books once.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
And if you guys remember, he gave me a giant basket of Amiibos. You remember that when I went up to Minneapolis to hang out with him and his wife? He just said, "Here, take this bunch of Amiibos that I'm not going to use. They're currently in my classroom. I actually have them."
Not all of them.
Not all of them. I gave some to CB because he's got to have some. I actually use them in my classroom, not as Amiibos. I use them with my students as study buddies. Whenever they have to take a test, they get to pick an Amiibo and have their little study buddy with them at their desk, and that's compliments of Josh Ershman. So
wow, that's very adorable.
Yeah, he's still doing things in my classroom, even though he's unfortunately not with us anymore. It's very, very sad. But just to give you an example, I was going up to a convention in Minneapolis, which is where he lived. Do you remember when I went to the music convention?
Yeah.
When I was trying to get set up for the
Grant.
next... Yeah, I met Grant out there. And I told him I was coming to visit and said we should hang out. And he's like, well, dude, why don't you just crash at my place? I was like, no, that's okay, man. I get it. He's like, he like more or less insisted that I stay with him. So I stayed at his place, and he had a little place for me to sleep, and he literally set up my own Xbox to have that so I could sign into my account and play Xbox while I was staying at his house. And I'll never forget. I was sitting in there, and the three of us, me, him, and his wife, were sitting in the living room. She was on a Switch, and he was, I think he was on his PC, and I was playing Xbox. We were all just hanging out in his living room, playing games together. While I was just there for the weekend for something else. It was just very, very nice. So,
wow. Do you remember when we played on the Xbox?
What I played?
Yeah,
I did. It was a game. I was playing a game I reviewed, and the name of the game is escaping me. But it was a weird Metroidvania game where you actually had to. There was no jumping. It was like you had to attach to the walls. I remember.
Okay, yeah, I vaguely remember this.
Yes, I can't remember the name of it because I liked it, but I didn't love it. So. But anyway, our condolences go to Josh's wife, Alicia, and her family. Please keep her in your thoughts. She's going through a lot, as you can imagine, because nobody saw this coming. So anyway, on brighter news, let's go ahead and talk about some of the games we've been catching up on. CB, how about you? Let's start with you.
Well, it's been a busy week. I had to work a couple extra days.
On Thanksgiving, no less.
Yeah,
but
I did have the best 48-hour work week I've ever had in EMS. I had one call.
Whoa! Man. So you played a bunch of games?
No, we were all just too busy waiting for like calls to drop. So, but I did play some more Forza Horizon 5.
Yeah,
which I still absolutely adore.
I need to boot it up just to see what it looks like. I hear it looks amazing.
Yeah,
on the Series X.
I mean, people are going bananas for that game everywhere. It feels like.
Dude, it's really good. My son loves it, so he's been playing it too. And then I just downloaded today the new Dead Cells update.
They did another update already?
Yeah, with Hollow Knight.
Oh, okay.
So
that's an interesting combo.
Yeah. I've been finding a lot of weird things in that game, like there's Half-Life references in the game. So,
like just text kind of things or actual?
No, you can wear an HEV suit from Half-Life.
Really?
Yeah. Huh. I have officially started to clear some of the new bosses, multiples.
Okay.
Is it
you gotta fight two at the same time?
Are any of them the G-Man?
No, but man, some of these new bosses, Scott, you would love.
Why is that?
There's one called Mama Tick. Which is basically this giant tick that has like arms that like lash out at you. It's a fun time.
Are you saying Scott's into ticks?
Yeah, I don't know.
No, just some of the bosses, because I know how Scott likes some of the retro style bosses, and he would like this. And I've found all the runes now, so I can unlock all the other areas in the older stuff that you couldn't like get to.
Are the runes the things in the doors that you have to?
No, those are boss medallions.
Oh yeah, you get those for beating a boss, and then you have to have a certain number of those in order to open up certain doors.
Yeah. So
it's been a while since I played that game.
Man, it is getting better by the minute. Yeah. I absolutely am falling in love with that game all over again.
That developer has a new game coming out as well, don't they, where you play as a firefighter?
I believe so. So I'm kind of curious to see where that's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
So
if that's going to be another game that just keeps on giving like this one does.
I hope so, because I love the way they craft a game. It is fantastic.
What about you, Zach? Anything you've been catching up on this week?
Oh, a surprising amount. I've been doing the weird spreading myself thin, but not actually like playing anything in depth thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been playing some more Kena, which I am getting more into. As I decided to ignore trying to explore anything, and mostly just like do the linear path, and that's actually been helpful for my enjoyment.
Nice.
I just don't think the exploration is very fun or rewarding in Kena, which is unfortunate.
Gotcha. I know Brian Regals from our community posted on Facebook that he just finished it and he loved the game. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I wish I was seeing that game that people are playing. I don't know if Brian has a PS5 or not, but I do have to wonder if it's getting a little bit of like the new gen bump But because it on paper seems like it should be for me.
Yeah, we all thought that.
But for whatever reason, not connecting. But it is connecting more the further I get into it. Especially like now I've got 2 different abilities, so the puzzles can get a little bit more intricate because you can connect your bow and arrow skills with your bomb skills. So it's a little more interesting now. And then I decided to boot up Mafia Definitive Edition.
Wow, that's random.
It was on quite a sale there at GameStop. It was like on sale for like $9.99 or something. And they had that buy 2 get 1 deal going. Anyway, I played like 4 or 5 hours of this, I think, and it's awesome, man. I'm playing on the classic difficulty, so it's just like it was back on the Xbox and PC. So like you get pulled over for speeding by cops, and if you reload too early, you lose all the bullets in your clip, which I really wish more games did.
Yeah, I've always wondered why that isn't a thing.
I really wish it was a toggle in games like Call of Duty or something, because basically with modern games, you just have infinite ammo for everything. So I wish that they had a little bit more tactical consideration for some games that you could opt into. Because I remember once the Tom Clancy game stopped doing that, it was a real bummer.
Yeah.
Because that was a franchise where it should have mattered. But anyway, that's a lot of fun, and you like die in like 2 hits because I'm playing on the hardest difficulty. It's fun. If there are any Mafia fans out there, I beat the race on classic difficulty, which I'm very proud of myself for.
Yeah, that was not easy.
No, it was impossible when I was younger. I remember using the level skip cheat for Xbox to get past it, and it took me. I was like I would get home from work and I would play for like 20 minutes until I was going to lose it. Then I'd go play some Halo, have some fun, and then come back and try the race again. It was fun. It was a fun little pattern.
And what do you know? You can do that again now.
Yeah. That's exactly what happened.
Go play some Halo and come back and try it again.
But it's great. It's beautiful. I watched some like side-by-side comparison afterwards. I'm like, man, it's just like a totally different game now.
Yeah.
The characters are very different. Just based on the amount of polygons. But I have been playing some more Halo Infinite. They have a seasonal event going as well, which I'm having a lot of fun with. I'm really into this game, guys.
That is so weird.
I am as shocked as you are. But right now they have if you're not playing, they have a seasonal event going on right now, where you can unlock like samurai style Spartan armor. But you have to play this game mode called Fiesta. But what it is every time you respawn, you get random weapons.
Okay.
So you have to be on your toes. You might get super lucky and get like an energy sword and a shotgun and just eviscerate somebody. But then you might respawn and just have a pistol and a sniper rifle. But you're on a small map and you're just kind of like, I think it's totally fun and keeps you on your toes. It like assigns you random grenades as well. So sometimes you have the plasma and sometimes you have the grappling hook. Sometimes you don't. It's fun to not know what you have.
I'm learning by talking to you about multiplayer games over the past couple of months that you like the random nature in multiplayer games.
I like when you have to adapt.
Right.
Yeah, when you can't rest on your laurels, that is fun.
Like I remember when we were talking about Lemnis Gate, how you were saying you wish that there was a mode where it would give you a random operator or whatever they call them in that game. I can't remember.
I do. I think that would be awesome.
Like you don't get a choice. You just get whichever one they give you.
I love being forced in that quick thinking. That's why I always love Titanfall, because people can drop their Titans whenever they want, right? And you could do the same, and it's just like it always kept every match fresh for me. Yeah, I love that stuff.
That's an interesting take,
guys. You guys gotta play Halo, man.
At this point, I'm wondering if I have space on my hard drive because I downloaded Forza, so
is it huge?
It's like 115 gig before the patch or before any updates.
But I want them to. What are you saying, CB? Sorry?
I was going to say, Forza's a big one.
Yeah. And I refuse to get rid of some of the other games. Like, I still haven't played Cyberpunk. I've got that on there. I've got Valhalla still on there because...
Oh, boy.
I'm thinking someday I'm going to play that.
Yeah, who are you kidding?
I've got, what's the new one? Far Cry 6 is on there. And then what's the other one? Phoenix... What's that?
Oh, Mortals Phoenix Rising.
Mortals Phoenix Rising is still on there just because I'm like, I need to play these games.
I was going to say, those 6 games are pretty much all you're going to be able to get on there.
Yeah, pretty much. That and a bunch of like indie titles that take up about a gig altogether, probably. So I'm going to have to do some cleanup, but I'm refusing to delete them until I give them another shot. I really want to play Valhalla, man.
I was about to say, you need to get on some of these games because we're a little more than a month out from Game of the Year time.
I know. At this point, I'm going to have to just pick one to focus on over Christmas and just like play nothing but that over Christmas break. So I can at least get one of them. Because last year, was it last year? You guys told me I had to finish Ghost of Tsushima before we did Game of the Year.
We were right?
Yeah.
And you were right. So which one do I have to play now?
Far
out of
Cry.
the ones I just mentioned. Far Cry?
Well, probably Guardians.
Forza.
Oh,
Far
yeah,
Cry.
Guardians. God.
Guardians is going to come up.
Yeah. I'll probably agree on that one. I'm almost done with that. So
I had a buddy actually text me about an hour ago saying he finally started playing it, and he said the first time he had a huddle, he said, "Holy crap, is this going to be my game of the year?" Like that was the moment that he said that he thought this is game of the year material. So, I have a feeling that's gonna be a lot higher on people's list than we anticipated this year.
Well, I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be as high as we think it's going to be.
Well, maybe for Zach, yeah.
I'm saying industry wide. I think it's so rare to get a good surprise. You know,
yeah.
Most games launch broken or buggy or delayed or whatever, and Guardians just got announced, came out on its date, and it was good. No microtransactions.
It never happens.
Correct. But I hope for Gears 6 they do the exact same thing they do in Halo Infinite. Like
start with multiplayer and then
take 5 or 6 years, put out the multiplayer first, because if the Halo Infinite multiplayer came out day and date with the campaign, I would have played the campaign, and then by the time I got to the multiplayer, I would have been so zoned out, of the competition that I just probably wouldn't even want to play. I think with the free to play nature of the game, you're going to get a lot. It's going to be easier to jump in because you're always going to be getting scrubs in.
And that's going to be my question. Am I already too late?
No, I see, and I think because anybody can play. Free to play, you don't even need Game Pass or whatever. I think that's going to let you catch up easily.
Okay.
That's my prediction. Then last but not least, I got the Zelda Game & Watch, which is an absolute treat. Even though you will never know, Scott, because you will refuse to open yours.
Oh, yes. Mine is staying sealed.
But I'm sure CB can tell you that it's a hell of a lot of fun.
I'll play CBs.
No, you won't.
The screen is just so bright and vivid on this thing, which is fun, and it feels like flimsy at first, but you kind of don't care. You kind of want a Game & Watch to feel flimsy anyway.
Yeah.
Or else it wouldn't be appropriate. But the sound on it's good. It's fun. You can just like fight enemies and play the original Zelda while you have your watch on in the background.
Yeah.
And the screen
part of me regrets not opening it just because I think it makes a cool clock piece.
You can still find them. You can buy a second one.
I could.
You can experience the delight of having the Triforce lit up on the back of the unit the whole time.
Yeah, you showed that to me. I did not know that was a thing.
You're welcome.
That is a big selling point right there.
Yeah, that was a CB pro tip.
Yeah.
For some reason, the thing I find to be the coolest, and it's just strange, is that when the minute changes from from 16 to 17 or whatever, the game pauses as it changes over the hand.
That doesn't bother you?
No, I think it's cool. I like it. It's maybe because I'm a Majora's Mask fan. I'm a fan of those timers, Scott.
Apparently,
well,
yeah.
I will also tell you, if you actually slide the box all the way out, the backside flips down to a kickstand, and it makes a stand that you can put the Game & Watch with the clock in, and it makes like an actual desk clock.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
What about you, Scott? What are you playing?
I played a little bit more Pinball FX3, no surprise. I decided to go back because when they made the transition from Xbox to Xbox Series X, or one of the transitions, I had to start my scores over. So I had been focusing for the longest time on some of my favorite tables, and I went back to some of the older tables and started over. I have my buddy Mike, that is my biggest competition. He and I just always go back and we'll just send each other random texts of our score, showing that we beat the other person's score, and then it just becomes an ongoing competition. It's pretty fun. Also, you won't believe this, but there's actually levels in Pinball FX. Like you have a character, not a character, but prestige type levels goes to level 50. I'm only a level 40, and I just hit level 40. So I've still got a long way to go. With as many hours as I've put into pinball, I still am only 80% of the way to getting the prestige level or whatever. So picking away at that.
That's hard to think of, that you would be not there.
Well, again, remember, most of my hours in Pinball FX were done on the 360. So I had a ton of time on that, and I had a lot of scores, and all of them are gone. I mean, they're still there on Xbox 360, but I had to start all over again when I transferred to the new transition, which was really frustrating. Like, why do the scores not carry over? But I was Pinball FX 2 and it's Pinball FX 3. So anyway, but outside of that, I decided to check into a game. You guys, I know I saw you interacting with Jeff, Nindy Nation, on Twitter, and he had recommended a game on Switch called Dicey Dungeons that was on sale. He said it was super cheap, but it happened to also be on Game Pass. So I decided to download it and check it out. And this is a cute little game. It's a roguelike that involves a lot of dice throws, which CB knows from playing Dungeons and Dragons with me. I love rolling dice.
I like the randomness.
Yeah, there you go. I love that there's no skill. Like I can sink an arrow through the eye of an orc or whatever we're fighting. And are there orcs? And yeah, there's orcs.
Nothing says true gamer like, yeah, I don't like that. I like that there's no skill.
Yeah. But I also can roll really crappy too. So anyway, this is a fun way to do a roguelike, because you come across these bosses and it's a turn-based battle, but in order to do an attack, you have all these different attacks like built into your character that you can choose. You find some along the way and you can swap them out, whichever ones you do. But in order to land this attack, you have to get a certain number, and you can use it by getting a combination of dice. So you more or less get like a Yahtzee roll, and then you can have a choice to re-roll 3 of them or whatever, and the goal is to try to fill up as many of these attacks as you can in order to attack your enemy or do defense against your enemy. It's a very clever little roguelike that starts out very, very simple. There was a game you were talking about earlier, Zach, I can't remember, maybe it was Guardians, where you said the combat felt like way too simple at first, and then as you started getting into it and realizing how complex it can get, although this is nowhere near a similar game, but I had a similar experience that you did with that game, where at the beginning I was like, this is way too easy. And in fact, I completed a run. Have you ever played a roguelike where you completed a run on your first try? Like, no, that just doesn't happen.
That's
right?
I feel like that's the antithesis of the genre.
Right. But what this does is after you complete a run is it opens up other characters that you play as that increase the difficulty. So things get a little bit dicier as you... yeah, you like that? And so I like it. I just don't know if I have the drive to keep going, because more just because I have so many other games I want to play, but I wanted to see what it was about. And that's kind of the beauty of Game Pass, is checking it out. So if you've got Game Pass and you like roguelikes and you like rolling dice, check it out. The art and stuff is a little cute for my taste, but the core mechanics make it pretty fun to play, so I would recommend it. Dicey Dungeons.
Have you ever played Slay the Spire?
I have. That's the card one.
Right.
I really like that one too. Okay. I played that one a bunch.
Well, Nindy Nation pointed out it's on sale on Switch for $10. It's the cheapest it's ever been. Mm-hmm. I think I might finally pull the trigger.
It's also on Game Pass.
It's on Game Pass?
It's on Game Pass. Or it was. Maybe it's not now.
Who wants to play that on Xbox,
It does work very well portably. But yes. That is a great game to play on Switch.
I have
very clever.
Been paying attention to Slay the Spire on iOS, but it never goes on sale.
Mm-hmm.
Because that seems like the best way to play it, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. And man, kudos to Jeff at Nindy Nation. He's made some great recommendations for both you and I feel like.
Well, I mean, I don't know how timely it'll be when you guys are listening to this, but his Black Friday eShop sale video is very thorough.
Yeah, he does good work over there at Nindy Nation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Check out what he does. He does a lot of good stuff over there. He's the one that recommended Astalon to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He should be your best friend then.
I know. He is. He's a good dude. Yeah, man, I want to play that again now. God, that was such a fun game. All right, well, that's what we've been catching up on. Let's go ahead and jump into the week's news. News is a little light this week. I feel like every website, all they talked about was was Black Friday sales and Cyber Monday sales. Like, seriously, I had to search to find any news this week. But I have one new trailer to talk about. There's this game called Deer Simulator, your average everyday deer game on Xbox Game Pass, PS4, and Switch. In news, though, Harmonix is joining Epic, and there's also a nonprofit organization attempting to revive PlayStation Home. Yes, you heard that right. And Amazon is interested in developing a show based on Mass Effect, and a Marvel MMORPG has been announced. CB, you've been gone for a little bit. Which story would you like to talk about?
Well, I'm going to steal your thunder, Scott.
Okay.
And I'm going to talk about Harmonix.
Go ahead. I'm
surprised you still alive, you know?
Well, I mean, didn't they do Drop Mix?
They did Drop Mix, and they did Fuser.
Yeah.
Truly a sensation Drop Mix.
Well,
dude, I still have a Drop Mix in my classroom. My kids love it.
I know you do.
Yeah. It's fun. It's still
just
on my phone.
Just because you guys play doesn't mean it is popular.
It did flop pretty hard. But
it was marketed so poorly. If they had got a couple TV spots on that thing, or if they had done a deal where like if they could somehow put kiosks like in Best Buys and stuff, that's a game that you really have to actually get your hands on to see what it does.
Honestly, like it would have almost been the game that you could have made like the little quarter machines at the mall and just went and got like random cards and it would have been perfect.
Yeah. That's a good call too.
But so Harmonix is joining Epic.
I'm surprised you wanted to talk about this considering it's Epic.
Yeah, I do not like Epic, but they will be working to create musical journeys and gameplay for Fortnite of all games.
That's what made me I was like, all right, Fortnite's going to do something. Or I mean, Harmonix is going to do something. Are we going to have a resurgence of music games? No, it's going to be
it's going to be Fortnite stuff. And it's funny because they're sitting here like, oh, we're not ready to share specifics, but things are coming. And I actually went through the list of like questions that people have asked, and they're like, "Oh, are there going to be events for Fuser?" And they're like, "There's no change. Does this mean there's going to be more Rock Band stuff?" No, that's not in our plans. And so, like everything that like Harmonix is like infamous for, they're like, "No, bro, we don't care. We're just hopping on that Fortnite train." I'm like, "Come on, like." Do what just do what made you good.
I'm not sure what I would want them to do, outside of Fortnite, because I was really amped for Fuser. I thought it was a really cool idea, and it's just a game that I just have no desire to go back to. The game works great, and at its core, it's a decent game. It's just I also didn't like DJ Hero, which everyone really
there's a lot of people that do love it.
I know. I just could not get into it. I don't know.
Well, I think the biggest thing is they need to go back to making party games.
Mm-hmm.
Because Rock Band, like Guitar Hero, like those were fun. I do feel that Guitar Hero Live didn't get a fair shake, but it's also because of a redesigned guitar that all the old Rock Band fans were not familiar with.
Well, yeah, I had to relearn how to play, and I gave up pretty quickly.
We're going to take the 5-button format away and give you 20 buttons. Go.
6, but...
Well, remember, there was the 6 upper, the 6 lower.
3 upper, 3...
But there's the 3 up here, and then the 3 right below it, and then at the bottom, there's 3 and 3.
I don't think so.
No, dude.
I have a guitar that has 12 buttons on it.
They're the same ones, though. They just do that so that like you're playing the same notes higher.
I know. But there were on some of the like extreme ones where you had the upper and lower.
Okay.
So I'm sitting here, I'm like,
conversation along.
You made it way more complex. And honestly, like I'm so sick of hearing about. I know there's a huge fan base out there for it, but it does feel
money maker, man. It's hard to argue with that.
It does feel like the game kind of dips and wanes a bit, though, because my son was not interested in for the longest time. The new season came out, really excited for it, and already he's kind of like,
Well, I know they're ending Chapter 2 finally, so Fortnite 3 is around the corner. I'm sure that'll excite people.
Yeah, but
hey, man, if Fortnite did not have the building, I would be playing Fortnite. I think the building just sucks. It just ruins that game.
I don't know. Like, I just love the fact that even one of my coworkers agree with me. They're like, it doesn't take as much skill to be mediocre at it. Like, you can pick it up and be okay. Like, to be truly great, yeah, you got to practice, but it's not as difficult as like Halo or Call of Duty Warzone. So, I don't know.
I've never really given it an honest shake, so I can't really speak to it. But
I played it one time and I got 6th.
Yeah.
So
I know you can play as Green Arrow though, so that's pretty cool.
And like, I think they're doing Venom right now. So,
yeah. But they're doing they like did Thor, but like his current costume in the comics, and I think Venom is all king and blacked out. So I mean, I don't know. They do cool stuff, but it's just I can't play it with the building stuff. I think it's just so lame, man.
To your point though, CB, about like they need to bring party games back, I think that part's gone.
Yeah.
Because people want to play party games online more now than they want to in person. And dealing with latency on rhythm-based games, I think is a nightmare.
This damn COVID just ruined party games.
I think the ship they had, you get like one chance right at bringing Guitar Hero and Rock Band back, but they both struck too early.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You had to wait for the fever to get more nostalgic, where you're like, oh man, I do miss playing Rock Band, but they just went.
Mm-hmm.
It was like only took like 5 years off,
and they changed it too much, like CB said. To make the people that were familiar with the button scheme, right? You want to make them feel like they're good at it when they first jump in. And I was pretty good at Guitar Hero.
Should have just reverted back to Guitar Hero like 2 and Rock Band 1 style stuff.
Guitar Hero 2 remastered.
Wouldn't that be smart?
1, 2, and 3 remastered in a bundle.
Man, it would be so expensive for licensing. Could you imagine?
But I would. Yeah. I would buy it.
Yeah, I would too.
Hey, anyway, it's nice that Harmonix is going to get to live, but it's not going to be in the way that we care about her. No. But it's nice that people get to keep their jobs. But every time Harmonix makes a headline, I am startled that they are not out of business. So it's nice that they will be secure for a good long while, because I mean they've done nothing but whiff after whiff, for a decade or so.
And it's too bad, because I know I've talked about it so much. Drop Mix should have been a massive success.
Yeah.
Nobody knew what it was. Nobody knew it existed, man. I took that thing to school, and I think I sold 3 of them at school to teachers.
And honestly, the price point was pretty good.
Yeah, 100. Well, it was going for 50 this past holiday season, or this holiday season.
But once you bought into it, like the card packs and expansions were not expensive.
I mean, they're $1 a piece, basically, the cards.
Yeah.
That's pretty cheap, yeah.
They're $1 a piece, and you don't get to like pick and choose. You get like a pack of 15, and there's like maybe 3 songs that you know, or at least I knew. There was a bunch of stuff that I'd never heard of before. So I think the licensing had to have been a nightmare for that one, to try to get stuff that people did recognize. But then you have like my 4th graders that don't care if they recognize it or not. They just love hearing the different beats and stuff. Dude, you're gonna laugh, but we had it was like last half hour of a day, we had like a dance party in my classroom where I had one kid be the DJ, and he got to sit there with a drop mix I had connected to a Bluetooth speaker, and we had a dance competition in 30 seconds or whatever. And I had the kid say, I'd yell across the room, say, "Hey DJ, drop me a beat," just to be funny. And he'd put like a random 2 or 3 different cards on there, and we watched the kids dance and then vote on which one was the best, and then he'd do a different mix for the next group. It was a blast.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I don't know if you played the card game associated with it. It's a fun little card game.
No, I played it. I played it with you multiple times.
Did you? It's a good little... I haven't taught them how to play it, because I only really get them with like 20 minutes at a time. Like free time, that's not enough time to teach them how to play that game. But
yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Zach, what story would you like to talk about?
Well, I've immediately got to jump to the Marvel MMO RPG.
Yeah?
Which is coming from Dimensional Ink Studios, who used to be formerly Daybreak Studios. They've made DC Universe Online, so they're going to be in charge of both the Marvel and the DC MMORPG. I wanted to bring this up because Marvel, man, they just keep announcing games. Where is DC at? What is going on?
just
we got
sputtering in the
Gotham
dark.
Knights, right?
You do have Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad, but Marvel's got like 6 or 7 games announced right now.
Mm-hmm.
In a medium where DC was dominant for many years.
That's a good point with the Arkham Asylum games.
Yes, they're just letting it slip through their fingers. Very strange, but I mean, this is exciting for Marvel fans, right? DC,
for sure. But are you going to play an MMO?
No, I don't even play the DC one. You know?
Yeah,
it's too. I played the DC one for a bit. It's too much of a cash grab.
Yeah,
like oh, you want this? Spend extra dollars. Spend extra dollars.
To me, the DC one, I try it. I feel like once a year I've tried it, and it's just the graphics are terrible. The animations are so like very PS2-y, and then the menus are very frustrating, very full of information. They're just like so clearly made for a PC.
Yeah,
and it's just like it's unnavigable on a console. But they did also announce alongside this Marvel game that DC Universe Online in 2023 is going to get a massive graphical overhaul, influx of new cash pumped into the game, so they can do the graphical overhaul and give it its biggest expansion ever. So this director Jack Emmert, who cut his teeth on City of Heroes, and he currently heads up DC Universe Online, is also going to be running the Marvel MMO at the same time. This guy is going to be driving himself crazy, I imagine.
Yeah, I will tell you, if they made the Marvel one like City of Heroes used to be, I'd be diving back into the MMO world. I loved City of Heroes.
I do wonder what they'll do, if it'll be like you create your own Marvel superhero like the DC game, or if you'll be playing as, Captain America or whatever. Because that was another thing. I kind of wish the DC Universe Online game you could just pick one of the superheroes to play as. I'm less interested in creating my own OC.
Right.
That's not very exciting.
I every time they do the like make your own heroes, I immediately have like horrid flashbacks of that X-Men Destiny game.
Oh yeah, Silicon Knights.
So the game that was it was a fairly bad game and then got pulled.
Oh yeah, I forgot it did, right? Like
it was that in 2 Human for engine issues.
Yeah, because they had to
using the engine.
Stores had to destroy all copies that they had, and like Silicon Knights owned Activision money for every disc printed or something like that.
Yep,
that was crazy.
I still have 2 copies.
I was gonna say, how many copies do you have, CB?
They are both sealed, because the moment that went live and announced, I'm like, oh man, this game is cheap. I went to Walmart and bought 2 copies. They are sealed of both 2 Human. I have 2 copies, and X-Men Destiny 2 copies sealed.
I've always wanted to play X-Men Destiny, even though it looks...
I have an open one if you want to borrow it.
Okay. No, I will probably take you up on that.
Terrible.
It looked awful.
It's real bad.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of games that you have, we were talking about you on a previous episode. I can't remember if it was last week or not. Do you own a copy of 50 Cent Blood on the Sand?
Yeah, I do.
On which platform?
Xbox.
All right. Next time Zach is in town, we may have to bust that out and do some co-op.
Yeah, I have Blood in the Sand and Bulletproof.
Okay. I've actually played Bulletproof. I have not played Blood on the Sand. But as soon as it went backwards compatible, the eBay prices went from like $20 a copy to like $220.
Yeah.
Yep.
That game is weirdly popular. I had no idea it was popular.
Yeah, that was the big story coming on the backwards compatibility list. Everybody apparently huge Blood in the Sand fan.
Oh yeah.
Hey, I've been talking about that game for a while.
I'm not doubting you. It's just, I guess everybody I knew was a closeted 50 Cent Blood on the Sand fan.
To be clear, dude, when you get a chance to play it, it's not like a mind-blowingly good game. It's just shockingly competent for a game that's got 50 Cent on the cover. You know what I mean? Like, you expect a game like that just to be a total cash grab. It's a competent shooter. Like, it works great, and it was actually pretty fun to play with a buddy.
Well, I know quite infamously the grenade, mother effer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
You hear that quite often. And there's all kinds of lines like that. Like, he was in the booth for a long time with his buddies, just doing these lines.
Having a good time.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Boy, I don't know. For me, I guess the Mass Effect TV show is, quote, nearing a deal with Amazon. Even EA has said that it's, quote, not a matter of if, but when. So apparently this thing's going to happen. And I guess Henry Cavill hinted at it, which is weird. I know Henry Cavill is in the Witcher series on Netflix, and it's not really related to Amazon or Mass Effect, but he posted something on Instagram, which people kind of translated. There was a blurred image of the Mass Effect Wikipedia page. So that was a big hint that was apparently dropped. You guys know Mass Effect, or at least Zach knows Mass Effect better than I do. I can't remember how much you've played, CB, but is it like something that would translate to a good television series?
I don't care.
You don't care?
After the weird Cowboy Bebop show I've been experiencing, I'm not totally convinced on adaptations right now, so it's a bit of a sour moment. I did hear Arcane is very great on Netflix. But Mass Effect's just such a weird... You would have to not touch the story of any of the games.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like trying to...
It would just have to be in the universe.
Yeah, that's the only way you could do it. And if you do that, then you can't have any... the Spectres, because Shepard's the first human Spectre. So I don't really know... I mean, I guess you could do the First Contact War when humanities ran into the Turians, right when they discovered the relays, and I guess that could be a compelling show, but like it would be you would never satisfy anybody by trying to adapt the story of the show or the games. And I would hope that the show knows that, because if you try, you're just going to make people mad.
Okay.
So I mean, if you do the First Contact War, that has potential, or if you do something that's like set after and only kind of touches on the events of the game, but then I guess you can't do that because the endings are so wildly different. You know, one of them introduces magic to the world, which is stupid. Well, actually, I guess all of them technically introduce magic, but one of them makes it permanent. But so you pretty much have to do a prequel show.
Okay. Would you want to watch that?
I would give it a shot.
All right.
But I mean, it's just not gonna... There's too many variables to get excited or not right now.
Gotcha.
And make it like the one Netflix show.
Bandersnatch?
Yeah. Choose your own adventure. Go!
I'd rather eat a shotgun.
Yeah.
Wow.
That sounds like a good time.
Well, why just play the game?
Yeah, at that point, just play the game.
I have no interest in playing that game. None.
Why is that?
It's too daunting. Like it just like the fact that every time you open the dialogue wheel, it's like, look, here's 15 options. Go.
Yeah.
Like,
I wouldn't want to start Mass Effect for the first time right now.
No.
Just like, like replaying the Legendary Edition is great for a fan like me, but if you're new and like, here's 3 long games, all of their DLC, and it's just, I would just be too overwhelmed to even try it.
Yeah. Hello.
I mean, just playing Knights of the Old Republic.
Mm-hmm.
Like even that, like there's a lot of dialogue options, but it's not nearly as dense as Mass Effect.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys, when you play a game like Mass Effect, do you let the voice actor carry out the entire dialogue, or do you skip it?
Skip.
I let it play out.
Do you? I kind of figured as much, but... Oh, speaking of TV shows, you mentioned Cowboy Bebop, Zach. I did go back and watch a couple episodes of the original.
Oh, the anime?
Yeah, the better version?
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think?
It gives me a Firefly vibe, a little bit.
Yeah, there is no denying that Firefly's main inspiration was Cowboy Bebop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I'm not crazy. I was like, this seems a little familiar.
No, there are a few shots in Firefly. If you were to watch them close in proximity, you would be like, oh, Joss Whedon just straight up stole that shot.
Yeah? Okay. All right.
It's pretty blatant in some areas.
Okay. Good to know. I will keep watching it though. I am digging it. I'm watching it dubbed.
Yeah.
Well,
it's that's one of the legendary dubs that even sub people like, that's an acceptable dub.
Okay. I'm digging it.
Steve Blum as Spike Spiegel. Whew. Iconic performance.
All right, well, moving on, I want to remind everybody that we are an independently funded podcast, which means we do pay for our podcast hosting services, website, all that on our own. And that's actually not true. We do it through donations to our Patreon page, where fans can contribute monthly to help offset the cost of production, as well as allow us to give back to the community. And if you'd like to help us out, you can do so over at patreon.com/thegocast. And we'd like to thank you guys by giving some bonus episodes, and we've got some new ones available for you to listen to. CB, what can people check out now and in the near future?
Well, we have our Legacy of Metroid, which I was not on.
It was me and Zach. We had a good time.
Yeah. Retro Outsider, Indiana Jones games, which was also a lot of fun.
It was. There's one game that I actually kind of want to go back and play some more.
I did play it some more.
Did you? It's so good.
Yeah. The one that I'm the most mad that I was not a part of, the Super Mario Brothers movie, which, did you guys know that the jump boots are actually the same boots from Face Off?
I didn't know that until you told me on text the other day.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Now that you say that, I can totally, like, it's obvious to me now. But
See, if it makes you feel any better, I would have gladly given you my spot.
Oh, I love talking about that movie.
Oh boy.
So I actually talked to one of the guys who made some props for it.
Nice.
So
there's a lot of props in that movie.
Yeah, there is. As far as upcoming episodes that are on the horizon, we have a Break the Seal where we bring back Miss Christina Flores. We talk about Star Fox and Star Fox 64.
Yeah, I had wildly opposite opinions of those two games than CB and Christina did.
Yeah. And sooner or later, we may revisit that topic again and bring Zach in for specific reasons.
For the best Star Fox game, of course.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. And then also, we're recording one very soon on Resident Evil and 8-Bit Christmas. Our takes.
Two movies that came out this past week that it just felt appropriate to talk about on a Patreon episode.
Kind of appropriate.
Kind of appropriate, but we'll get there. That's going to be a fun conversation. But if you'd like to hear any of those episodes or any of our past episodes that are similar, we got Retro Outsider episodes, Legacy episodes, Break the Seal, and games that aren't for us. You want to check them out? Patreon.com/thegocast. $3 a month will give you access to one bonus episode, and $5 a month will give you access to 2 bonus episodes. Plus, you get the episode a day earlier than everybody else. That's this episode right here that you're listening to. Let's go ahead now and jump into the newer games we've been playing. Alrighty, Zach, what new games can we plan on playing this week?
All right, formerly Apple Arcade exclusive adventure game Beyond the Steel Sky, which I think is a sequel to an old game, which I think was Beneath the Steel Sky. But anyway, this sequel, Beyond the Steel Sky, comes to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch November 30th. You can take over the world and however you'd like with Evil Genius 2 World Domination, coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One on November 30th. Colorful 3D platforming adventure from the guys that brought you Hyper Light Drifter, Solar Ash, coming to PS5, PS4, and PC December 2nd. Isometric RPG Mecha Jammer, coming to PC December 2nd. RTS, set in the most licensed out property in the world, Warhammer 40K. Battle Sector, coming to PS4 and Xbox One December 2nd. The license must be a nickel for that thing.
Seriously.
Just keep making it.
Just a new game comes out every week. Maybe just it's just like for exposure. They're just like, yeah, I don't care. We just want the brand out there. Anybody can make a Warhammer game. Justice Chronicles comes to Xbox Series consoles and Xbox One as well as PC December 2nd. It's a little JRPG action for you. Space shooting arcade game, which not too far away from Star Fox. Chorus comes to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, PC, and Stadia. December 3rd.
What?
God, how is it still alive?
I just bought a Stadia.
I was going to say, isn't it like $26 right now or something?
I bought it on Black Friday for $22.
$22.
God.
Well, it comes with a Chromecast, which on its own is already like $25 or $30.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I will tolerate that.
I got a Chromecast and they threw me a Stadia. Is basically what happened. But Chorus, I think, looks awesome, man. Disney Magical World 2, My Happy Life Enchanted Edition, formerly a 3DS title, making its way to Nintendo Switch December 3rd, which I think they should do for more 3DS games, by the way. I would love to play Link Between Worlds. Isometric Action RPG Grim Dawn coming to Xbox One December 3rd. Spellforce 3 Reforced, which is another horrifically titled THQ re-release, because I think they just try to make it the worst title every time. Comes to PC.
Remastered edition?
Remastered has got to be the most infamous. Or the laziest being Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning.
Yeah. Just put a re on it.
Yeah. Anyway, Reforce going to PC December 3rd. And then the Danganronpa franchise makes its way to Switch with Danganronpa Decadence coming to Switch December 3rd, which I think is a compilation of titles. And then it also Danganronpa S Ultimate Summer Camp, which is a spin-off where you get to just live on a beach with all of the mad killers you've been stashed away with in the former Danganronpa games. That's coming to Switch as well on December 3rd. What's exciting you guys?
I have been so excited for Chorus. So excited. I may actually just straight up pick this one up because there was a game I reviewed a while back that I was hoping was going to be an awesome Star Fox clone, and it wasn't. This looks like it has potential. I cannot wait to play it.
I'm thinking Danganronpa Decadence.
I've never played a Danganronpa game. The premise just sounds so weird to me, but I'm intrigued to take a look at it, I suppose.
I like weird.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Saw meets Phoenix Wright.
Yeah, that's the impression I got. Which
yeah. It's great.
I can't decide if I like that or not. I don't know.
I only played the first one, but I liked it a lot.
Okay. It took me a couple months to figure out how to pronounce that correctly.
Yeah, that's no doubt. But it's Chorus all the way for me too, man. I've been just as stoked as you were on this one because it looks like Star Fox space shooter sort of deal, and it mixes like on rails action with the all range combat. But it also
all range mode,
absolutely. But it also looks like they're just an eldritch space abominations you're going up against. Like there's some kind of like evil church that like with these dark gods. I don't know, man. It looks like Lovecraft meets Star Fox, and I am there for that.
Yeah. Is this a budget title or is this a full price title?
You know, I honestly don't know. It looks full price.
It does.
I would imagine it is, but yeah, that's what I'll be playing, and I'll be strapping in for that one.
Nice.
But CB, I guess they remade another Pokemon, huh?
Yes, they did. And I've been playing it.
Which generation was this now?
4?
Which platform was the original Diamond on? The DS?
DS. And delicious.
Is it?
Yeah. They gave it a nice overhaul. It's been cleaned up. I actually bought the 2-pack, so I got the Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. I'm currently playing Brilliant Diamond. My son is playing Shining Pearl. And I specifically told him, I'm like, this is the starter I chose. He chose a different starter. So
you made him choose a different starter?
Yeah. Gotta play by rules, man.
Say good dad here.
Can't choose both. I don't remember really playing Diamond on the DS because I didn't own a DS till like later. So this is kind of new for me. Like I touched it a little bit, but man, I'm actually loving this game a lot. I'm more than halfway done with it already.
Wow.
So
was that because of your 48-hour shift with only one call?
Yeah, it really was.
Like on Friday.
No, it came out last. No, I think it came out like it did come out early last week. It was before Thanksgiving. Okay. But yeah, I've already filled like half the Pokédex and I've got half the gym badges. So at the rate I'm going, I will have this done sometime next week.
Does it look like a good and proper Switch game?
All right, so I'm coming off of like Let's Go Pikachu, new Pokemon Snap, and oh god, what was the other one?
Sword and Shield.
Sword and Shield. So looking at this, like everything looks almost chibi. because they kept like the still like semi top down isometric view a little bit, but rather than give like the full body overhaul, they just kind of like made them cute little sprites, and that's my really only complaint with the game. But other than look, like the battling feels fun, the environments are fun, just moving around, like just the quality of life upgrades for this game are wonderful. And
better than the last one, the Eevee.
Well, Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu will always hold a spot in my heart because those are functional remakes of Red and Blue.
Well, which are ones you played? But I mean, you played enough of the. You said you didn't play them a ton because you didn't have a DS or anything, but you played it enough to be able to compare, right?
Yeah, enough to compare. It is definitely better.
Okay.
Plus, I didn't remember because I never played Diamond and Pearl far enough to get to the Grand Underground, which is like this huge underground tunnel network that you can explore, which has higher level Pokemon. You can build a secret base. I'm loving this game, man. Like,
what do you think captured your imagination on for this one?
Just catching the Pokemons.
All right.
Is it just purely nostalgia, or is it doing anything new?
It's mostly purely nostalgia. I mean, I'm still blown away, Scott, about you, because this game is like right up your alley. It's so checklisty. It's just like a little JRPG. It's baby's first JRPG,
right?
And it's checklisty as hell. So
yeah, I mean, I got that from playing Red, the little that I did.
Though I do know that this would drive you bananas.
Let me guess, there's a timer.
No. There are alternate versions.
Oh, because I'd have to get
the shinies.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd have to go get the shinies. And Scott would just be like, I hate this.
Probably.
Because I just ignored it, though, and you just enjoyed the game for what it was. Well, that'd be crazy.
Oh, it'll be that first time that he gets a shiny, and he'll be like, "They're shinies."
That's a game that probably would have clicked with me very well when I was younger.
Yeah, darn,
was not allowed to play RPGs. So
darn your childhood household.
Yeah, Pokemon was of the devil, so wasn't happening in my house growing up.
Yeah, but man, for anybody who out there who's looking to scratch that Pokemon itch, pick this up. It's so fun.
And you're playing Pokemon Brilliant Diamond, correct?
Yes. Brilliant Diamond, and AJ and I sit next to each other while we play. So I'm also seeing Shining Pearl and like the differences.
That's cool.
I'm glad it delivered for you, man, because I feel like, in this age of nostalgia, it's harder and harder for these things to hit. So I'm excited for you.
Yep, just ramping up for Arceus though. So
that does look pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
That'll be the true test to see what you guys think of it.
Yeah. I can't wait to hear what CB says, because I will not play it, I'm sure. I will entertain the idea and then never get around to it.
Yeah, I
sounds about right.
Yeah. At least I know myself.
Well, moving on, Zach, you've been playing Final Fantasy VII, The First Soldier on iOS, and I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on playing Final Fantasy characters in Fortnite. How's that go?
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what it is, man. It is just a straight-up battle royale. But you know what? I was having a decent amount of fun with it. So, yeah, it's basically just, Fortnite, Apex Legends, you played any of that. So 75 people go onto a map, which is filled with a bunch of your favorite Final Fantasy VII locales, like Aerith's Church or the Sector 7 slums.
Yeah, I saw that in the trailer.
Or you can explore, Don Corneo's mansion and the trapdoors there, all that. So that's all fun, for the first little bit. What's weird, because you know how you always airdrop onto the maps in these kind of these battle royale games.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a helicopter in this one, and you have like 30 seconds to pick your drop spot, but you can pretty much just drop wherever you want on the entire map.
Like, it doesn't matter where you drop, you could get to anywhere?
Well, because you have 30, you control the helicopter, unlike the Fortnite bus or the Apex Legends drop thing. Like, you can steer it, and you can even change the altitude of the helicopter, so you basically just get to drop wherever you want. I thought that was really weird. because it removes some of that thinking on the fly sort of stuff.
Random nature, like you talked about.
Yeah, it was very strange. But then once you land, it is very standard. Go into the buildings, get the weapons. This one does have some different classes. You can play as like a mage or a thief, essentially.
A fighter, I think, was one of them.
Yeah, I think you basically be fill in Yuffie, Cloud, Aerith roles, etc. Tifa. But then when you get to the actual gameplay, man, it is incredibly frustrating to play on a touchscreen.
I was going to ask how this plays, because it's not like turn-based combat, right? It's
no, yeah. So it's real time, and I know the kids out there play Fortnite on their phones all the time. Well, they used to, I guess. Play on iOS, but like it's just a nightmare to control because. So it does do this nice thing where you can place where you want the left analog stick to be on the left side of the screen. But on no matter where you place it, the inverse side is all of the right button, like all the controls are on the right side of the screen. So you have a jump button, you have an aim button, special attack, reload, iron sights, all sorts of stuff, right? There's like 9 buttons in the bottom right corner. But it's also where you instinctually would go to turn the camera.
Okay.
Right, because you play any console, right? Like the 6 are usually opposite of each other.
Mm-hmm.
But what you have to end up doing is like reach towards the like upper middle part of the screen just to turn the camera. And that is just an uncomfortable thing, especially when you're trying to sprint around or jump around, or and the buttons are so tiny that like you go to jump, but you accidentally fire. And now everybody knows where you're at. It's just very frustrating. When things are going well, like I think it's like, it's a nice, solid, confident battle royale. But and I wanted to play it because, as far as these battle royales go, this had the biggest shot because I care about the brand of Final Fantasy VII at this point. But it is just, I would say it's borderline unplayable. Because they have different firing options, like you have, it has the option to press a button, or if you hover your thumb over the enemy for a few seconds, it'll just auto fire, or you can just have one where it just will automatically fire it, whether or not you're, like, if you're pointing in the direction of an enemy, it'll just start firing. But it means you can't pick your shots because there's also, like, bombs and cactars and stuff in the environment. So you can't. Oh,
there's like NPC stuff, like Titanfall style?
Yeah, because you can like level up mid-match, but it doesn't really do that much. But, it's got these nice little spins. Like, I think the specials, each class has kind of own little special. You can use materia if you can find it. So you can cast fire, or you can summon Ifrit or Shiva even. Or, if you find a cure materia, you got a leg up, right? Because now you can heal when other people can't. So it has like all these neat ideas. It's just, this feels like it should be on console.
Well, 2 things. Number one, I don't understand how do you balance characters that are melee focused versus characters that can shoot? So
everybody can shoot.
Oh, okay.
It just means like, so you pick the warrior class, you have an edge up in melee combat because you're swinging a buster sword essentially.
Okay.
But if you're the ranger class, you have a skill where enemies will be highlighted, so it makes aiming easier or something like that.
Okay.
So it's got these little checks and balances.
Okay, that makes sense. The second thing, I didn't tell you guys this until now, but I actually bought, on Black Friday, I bought a Backbone controller for my my iPhone. Are you familiar with the Backbone controller?
Yeah.
I did. I heard people rave about them, and I've always wanted to be able to, sit upstairs while we're watching TV or something and play my Xbox. And it was on sale, and it came with a month of Game Pass Ultimate, so it was a bonus. Do you think it would be playable in that state? I mean, it sounds like it just is begging to be played that way, or is it a core functionality of the game itself that's broken?
Yeah, no, I think it's just the controls. So yeah, if the Backbone works, I know it doesn't work in every game. I'm sure it works on this one, but I wouldn't know. It's also just weird because you have a huge PlayStation install base for Final Fantasy fans. Mm-hmm. Right? They're the only ones who have gotten to play Final Fantasy VII Remake. So it's just weird. Like, why would you not just put this on PlayStation?
Yeah, where it would control better, too.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. I mean, the graphics aren't anything to sneeze at, but neither are the graphics in, Fortnite or Apex Legends. Like, I think you go into a Battle Royale knowing that the graphics are not going to be great, So, like, I don't know what the hesitation is.
So it sounds like a hesitant recommendation.
I would say download it and see if you can deal with the controls, but if you can't, or if you've had problems in the past with touch controls, like, yeah, you just gotta skip it till it finds its way to a console.
Yeah, some games just can't be played with touch controls. Remember when they ported like Mega Man 2 to phone?
Right.
They're trying to play a game with that precision just does not work.
Yeah, the Sega Genesis Sonic games.
Mm-hmm.
Just miserable on touchscreen controls.
Can't even imagine. So Final Fantasy VII, The First Soldier. Wait for console, or if you've got a proper controller.
Yeah, I'm sure young people are just accustomed to touchscreens, right?
Maybe we're just old, man.
I mean, there's some people I watch them play like Call of Duty Warzone and PUBG with touchscreen, and they're surprisingly good at it.
Yeah, like
I always wonder.
I played a decent amount of Call of Duty Mobile actually for a while, and that controlled very well. So I think you can do these shooter controls, but FF7 First Soldier ain't it.
That's too bad.
But Scott, you've been playing this Little Bug?
Yes. Little Bug. This is a random game that just fell in my lap this week. I didn't even request this game, and I was just sent a code. So I decided to check it out. Did you get a chance to check out the trailer?
No, I did not. I'm sorry to say.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to, because the only reason I ask is on the surface, this game looks like a super cute, cheeky little simple platformer. You play as a little girl that is walking home from school, and she comes across a dead cat. Oh. And the dead cat's ghost walks past her, and she starts chasing the dead cat's ghost until she winds up back home. And mom does the mom thing and says, "Get your head back in the clouds," or out of the clouds kind of situation. And little girl winds up falling back into this dreamlike world and just kind of working her way through collecting items that have to do with this dead cat. She's obsessed with finding out what happened to this cat, and she learns a little bit about herself. So it's an okay story, but it's a 2D platformer that does not have any jumping. Hear me out. There is no jump button in Little Bug. Instead, they do something really clever that I feel like I've not seen in a 2D platformer before, where it's entirely based on grapple movements, where there's like a little floating blue icon that if you get line of sight to it, she will grapple to it, and then it becomes a physics-based swing in order to get to different platforms.
Is that a little like the old Bionic Commando?
I haven't. You're talking about the old school one, or
the NES one?
Yes and no, because it's not a fixed point. That's what makes this game different. Is that blue orb that I'm talking about that you connect to? You actually control that with the right stick. Okay. So you're controlling the character with the left stick, but you're controlling the orb with the right stick. So I was getting flashbacks to Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. Do you remember that game where you had to control each brother independently? Not the same type of game style, but where I had to train my brain how to do two different things at one time. It's only about like an hour and a half long, and I've got about halfway through it apparently, so it's not super long. But it does a really good job of making you finally comfortable with the mechanics, and then they change the rules in a way that makes you relearn it again, if that makes sense. It's a clever little game. It's worth checking out. I know this is actually ported over from PC, so you can probably get it there as well. It just recently came to Xbox, and I'm having a surprisingly good time with this one. I find myself getting frustrated, but thankfully it's one of those where when you die, it just like respawns you right back at the point before, and the checkpoints are pretty forgiving. So Little Bug was a complete surprise to me, and if you like, it's nowhere near as difficult as like a Celeste or a Super Meat Boy, but it has trappings of games like that, and it has the potential to get more difficult, but I'm not like sweaty palming it, if that, you know what I mean? Like I'm not wiping my brow after each level. It's just I know what I have to do. It's just I have to train my brain how to do it each time, and it's fun seeing how they break the rules to make it more interesting as you go through. The one weird thing is I don't know what I'm supposed to do with the collectibles, because the little girl carries around a lunchbox, but it only holds 6 items. And so once you get 6 items, you either don't pick it up or you trash one of them. So what you do is you have the choice to, quote, sacrifice one of your items to the cat. So, and I don't know what it does. There's no clear indication of like which ones do I sacrifice, because I don't want to sacrifice one and find out I need it later. I've not needed to do anything with any items yet, so I don't really know what that is. I'm kind of picking them up just because I assume there's going to be some kind of achievement associated with picking up collectibles.
When I assume you can't help yourself either.
Right. You can't just not pick up a collectible, right? Yeah, but maybe that's the whole thing.
Maybe that's the lesson, you know?
Yeah, maybe it's like the one item at the very beginning that I needed to keep for some special ending, and I'm going to not have it. I don't know.
Oh, like the gnome in Left 4 Dead.
The gnome in Left 4 Dead.
There's a secret thing that you can do in the carnival level in Left 4 Dead if you carry the gnome through the whole level.
Okay. I never knew that. I played Left 4 Dead for a bit too. Anyway, Little Bug it's worth it just for the clever mechanic that they do for platforming that I've not seen. You really have to play with the physics and get through it, and you'll get frustrated. And there's an achievement to play the entire game in under 30 minutes. There's an achievement to complete the game without dying once. There's an achievement to because when you grapple onto this orb, you only have a limited amount of time, and if you max it out, it just runs out and then you drop. So there's an achievement to complete the game without ever expelling all of the energy in order to grapple to this orb, which just sounds insane to me. So I will not be getting all the achievements in this game, guaranteed, but I recommend it if you like platformers with a twist. So that is Little Bug.
Okay. Well, I have a question because you've been playing another game, which usually you kind of steer away from this style of game.
Yeah, this is another one that was dropped in my lap this week.
Okay, so yeah, tell me about Circa Infinity.
I don't even know how to describe Circa Infinity, man. This is a trippy platformer. Again, a platformer, but this one takes place entirely inside a circle. So imagine you're controlling a character running on the inside of a circle that can, no gravity. The gravity is all on the outside edge of the circle. And you basically have to maneuver on the inside of this circle into a portal to basically go deeper into the circle, and then have another circle inside that now has things that you have to jump over or avoid.
It's binary reverse Tempest.
Binary reverse Tempest. That's an interesting way to say it. There's no shooting.
Yeah, but you are traveling down essentially a barrel.
Right,
dodging
yeah, I can see
things.
that. So yeah,
and
imagine like Tempest, where like you clear a board and then you kind of go deeper into it. It's that kind of situation, but it turns it into a platformer. So you're actually having to jump over and avoid enemies to be able to navigate your character to jump up to the middle part, but the middle part portal like constantly moves, so you have to time the jumps correctly. It's a very strange game.
It looked very binary.
Binary red, in terms of like the colors,
red, like blue, black, white, black, white.
Right, it goes back and forth. Stark colors, very simplistic graphics. It's nothing mind-blowing. This is an indie
almost
game.
Almost like that OVO game.
OVO I liked a lot. That was a fun game. That was the one where I had like the dynamics of going up and yeah, it was a good one. But now Circa Infinity, I'm not sold on yet. It's very bizarre. I'm not knocking the game. It just didn't grab me quite like Little Bug did.
Okay.
It's I appreciate it for its artistic style that it's going for, and that it does platforming in a different way. I'm just not as engaged with the gameplay as I am in other attempts at doing unique platformers. So that's Circa Infinity.
I may give this one a try because it does it almost scratches that old school arcade style for me.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what you think of it.
Okay.
Check that one out. I want to remind everybody that we do have a bunch of different social media outlets that you could follow us if you'd like to join in some good conversations. Facebook can be found at facebook.com/groups/thegocast. We've also got a Discord community. The link for that is in the show notes for this episode. Also, our Twitter handle is @thegocast. And if you'd like to help us out, drop us a review over on Apple Podcasts or Google Play Music or Stitcher or wherever you listen to episodes. It would help us to get the word out about what we do over here. Also, our website is thegamingoutsider.com. That's where you can hear all of our episodes and read all of our reviews and editorials that we will someday do. And then moving on, one last thing I want to mention again, Manscaped, our sponsor. I actually found out something this week, guys. I don't know if you guys realize this. I feel dumb for not realizing this, but I was putting away the box that the Lawnmower 4.0 came in, which is an amazing trimmer. And my wife was asking me if I still wanted to keep the box, and I was kind of going through it. Did you guys know there is a carrying case on the bottom of it?
Yeah.
I did not know.
I did not know there was a carrying case. So there is a little leather carrying case with a zipper on it. That's a nice, high quality, like a DOP kit or a toiletry
It has a
bag.
name.
Yeah, what's it called?
The Shed.
It's called the Shed.
Gotta keep the lawnmower in your shed.
You can put.
Dude, this is a real game changer piece of information.
Yeah, I'm glad I told you before you maybe have discarded the box because it was hidden under everything.
My only holdup with the product was all these disparate parts and how they kind of get discombobulated in the bathroom. But now I could just put them in the shed.
Yeah. Park them right there in the shed.
What the hell, man? I am not a very thorough package opener, clearly.
Yeah, neither am I, apparently. But
man,
on top of that,
turned that box upside down.
Yeah, right? On top of that, we actually got some new products to check out. Did not even realize that Manscaped offers body wash and then shampoo that comes with built-in conditioner. So I've got those in my shower right now. I love the smell of this stuff.
And lip balm.
And lip balm, yes. So I love the Manscaped scent. I'm usually pretty picky about the smell of my soaps and shampoos.
I will openly tell you, my wife likes the scent too.
I was gonna ask if your wives like the scent.
She she used to buy me like the Axe body wash and stuff. She threw it away. She's like, I hate the way that smells compared to this stuff.
Wow.
And she wants me to order more.
Manscaped or bust. Top to bottom, Manscaped making you more appealing to the gender you're interested in.
I will say for those of you that do buy the conditioner and shampoo, be careful. They are in metal containers. They will destroy your toes. Found that out the hard way.
It's a good pro tip. I was surprised they shipped the shampoo conditioner very well. They come in like a little cardboard tube and this little, like this paper padding, so there's just no real risk of it spilling or anything in transit, which is great news.
Absolutely.
God, boy, don't I just sound like a shill? Ugh. But I'm being honest, it's cool. It's good packaging.
It really, I'm being 100% honest when I talk about this stuff. It's very difficult because you don't want to sound like you're selling out, but I genuinely do love these products. I actually went and purchased some more of the underwear.
It's good underwear, man.
High quality underwear, man.
I'm wearing it right now.
Are you?
I will tell you, I'm going to be ordering more because working in a high moving field, like being a paramedic, man, those things feel comfortable for a 24-hour shift.
There you go.
So
I give them the stamp of approval on those boxers, man.
Yes.
I think we should put together a calendar, guys, of us in our Manscaped boxers.
Ooh, you don't want to see that. You don't want to see that.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
And then when you proof of Manscaped purchase, you get a calendar of us in our Manscaped underwear.
I like it.
At least some of the months will be more looked at than others.
Well, hey, if you would like to check out these products that we've been talking about, we've got a great opportunity for you. We can get you 20% off of your order and free worldwide shipping. So no matter where you're listening right now, you can get it shipped to you for free, and you can get 20% off that order. All you got to do is go to manscaped.com, enter the promo code THEGOCAST, THEGOCAST, and it will automatically be added to your order, the discount as well as the free shipping. And then plus it helps us out here at The Gaming Outsider. So be sure to check it out. Manscaped, your balls will thank you. Okay, so for this week's topic, I wanted to talk about something from the past. This past week, the film 8-Bit Christmas released in theaters and on HBO Max, And it centers around a kid who wants to get a Nintendo Entertainment System more than anything in the world. And this got me thinking about my first console ever. So I thought we'd share ours and our listener stories about our first jump into the console market as kids. Now, this is a little bit of a spoiler alert for some of the listener comments, but some people on social media said that their first console experience was PC, and I wanted to see what you guys think. Do we just lump in PC with that? I mean, I wasn't like trying to exclude PC in the question. I was just like your first game, really, but because they were so different, but they were all so the same back in the day.
I will be the first to say I will include it.
Okay.
I wouldn't.
You wouldn't? All right, let's hear why.
Well, I just think the PC is this ephemeral, eternal piece of technology in all of our lives. So it's just kind of, I don't know, it's not as exciting.
CB shaking his head. Why do you disagree?
I have to because my first was. My Apple IIe Plus.
But it doesn't have to be. It could be your first console you plugged into your TV.
I mean, that's true as well. But for some people, they may not have had access to things. The 80s was a different time, man.
As I learned in HBO Max's 8-Bit Christmas.
Oh, I can't wait to talk to you guys about that movie. But I digress. I don't know. I'm kind of with CB here, not because my first experience was with the computer, although it might have been. I try to think. I never owned a computer that had games on it until I was into my teens, so I don't know if that really counts. I mean, I had played some games here and there, but to me, I feel like the early consoles and the PC games, they may not have booted the same way because you had the discs and stuff were a lot different than the cartridges and all that, but graphically they were very, very similar. I think, but someone's probably disagreeing with me vehemently.
I guess the 90s kid, to me, the PC was like, for the calculator or the paint software, and it just happened to play games. Whereas a video game console felt more special to me.
I will say, the 80s PCs definitely were marketed as more all around. They weren't just for
personal
word
computers.
processing. It was a personal computer. It was. I mean, they even marketed the Commodore 64 was definitely marketed a lot to gamers.
Right.
I mean, there was definitely a big push in the early to mid 80s for computers to be the gaming platform, especially after the 84 video game crash. If you read into it, everybody thought consoles were dead. It was going to be PC.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, before we get to our very first consoles, I have a quick question. I have to assume that our parents purchased our very first consoles. Would I be correct in assuming that?
Yes.
Mom and dad bought it for you?
Yeah, although I have a funny story, but we'll get to that.
Okay. So I want to know what the first console was that you bought with your very own money. One that mom and dad didn't buy for, that you went out and bought on your own. What was that? What was that console?
It's really sad. So we'll get to mine. Zach, you go first.
Okay. I guess mine would be the original Xbox.
Okay.
More or less, because my second stepdad had bought me a PS2 and more than a few games when he was courting my mother. Right. Because if you want to get a woman, the best way is through her kids, of course. But yeah, I bought my PS2 and stuff, and but I traded that into Game Crazy when I went down there to look at their games or whatever, and they had a demo kiosk. They always had their demo kiosks or whatever, and they had several different stations set up, and they had the Xbox on there, and one of the stations was playing Halo, and the other one was playing KOTOR. So
you're pretty sold.
Just seeing KOTOR running at all, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But then getting hands-on with Halo, I was like, this is unlike anything I have ever played in my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas KOTOR played the Fall played on PC or whatever, or even Baldur's Gate, which I was way into when I was a kid. But Halo I was like, this doesn't even make sense. What is happening? So I that weekend traded in my PS2. Used whatever scratch money I had, traded in all my PS2 games, and I got an Xbox, KOTOR, and Halo.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that was probably the smartest decision I've ever made in my entire life. Which is funny because the original reason I went to that Game Crazy was because I wanted to play the demo for Blinks the Time Sweeper.
That's funny.
Because I was convinced that was the Xbox killer app.
Not Halo.
No, I was incorrect in my assessment.
That's interesting. CB, what about you?
Well, I mean, you know me. I know where every single console in my collection came from.
Right.
So I have a quick 3.
Quick 3? Well, for your first purchase, you bought 3 at a time?
There's an explanation.
CB was 14 years old. He was already like unlimited resources and time.
Right.
So my first actual console that I bought with my own money was an Atari 2600.
Okay. Wow.
At a garage sale.
For
$25.
And how old were you?
40 games. I was about 12.
Wow.
So
that was a good deal. That would have been a good deal when you were 12.
No, that was a terrible deal.
Was it?
Because oh god, those things were a dime a dozen back then.
Paying $25 for anything at a garage sale feels like a ripoff.
Yeah, and it didn't work. So
good.
That's why I said there's a progression to this story.
I'm having flashbacks of hooking up those switch boxes to the back of a tube TV.
The good old devil's pitchforks.
Oh man, those pitchforks you had to like screw them in just right. Yeah.
Yep. Terrible.
I would like to say I was probably 11 or 12 as well. I just want to throw that in there.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
First actual console that I bought at launch, like true first console that I bought was my GameCube.
Okay.
And then the first console, like when I actually started making the collection, was my N64.
Nice.
So that came.
How long ago was that?
Almost 13 years ago at GameWorks.
Nice.
So,
I think my first I had some consoles purchased for me even into my teen years, but I didn't.
What a loser!
I know. I didn't have I didn't have the ability to earn money. Like I worked a summer job that paid me $25 a week for about 70 hours of labor.
Why didn't you go to the nearest street corner at 3 a.m?
Because I was not the magnificentness that you see now.
Manscaped hadn't entered your life yet.
Exactly. We hadn't been introduced to Manscaped yet. So
I had a paper route.
I didn't have a paper route.
When I was
didn't have
10.
The ability to do that. I lived out of town, like away from the city, and
I made money through more nefarious means when I was a youth.
I don't know how to respond to that.
You're not the only one, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it was on an episode of Smirk somewhere. My old podcast.
There you go. So yeah, my first was also the PS2. I believe I bought my PS2 at Disc Replay here in Rockford. Because I remember watching the demo for one of the Madden games. I think I've said this in the past, but I remember seeing one of the players blink, and I thought, this is like the epitome of video game technology. The character's eyes blink. That was a big deal back in
that would have been back when it was next to Media Play, wouldn't it?
Oh wow, Media Play! What a throwback!
Wait, what did I say?
You said Disc Replay.
I'm sorry, not Disc Replay. I meant Media Play. That's I meant to say.
Yeah.
Media Play, yeah.
Hell,
I used to love that stuff.
Anime selection of Media Play.
Just a great store all around.
I miss Media Play.
Apparently not good enough.
Me too.
Went out of business. I remember, similar to your blinking story or whatever, I remember the first time I saw fingers separated on a video game character, I was like, oh, we're done. Like, there's nothing else we need to accomplish.
Yep.
We've mastered the craft.
And now we're kind of like, so are these ever going to look like real people? Or, now we're like, come on, make it look like I'm watching a movie. What's the matter?
I mean, now I don't care about graphics.
Final Fantasy Spirits Within.
Oh man,
dude, games look better than Spirits Within.
I know, but when they touted that movie, they were like, it's the next generation.
When that whole company put all of their finances into one movie for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get to it. What was the actual first console you remember playing as a kid? CB, we'll start with you.
Well, since we're on the fence about it with computers versus consoles, my first actual one for me was an Apple IIe Plus playing the original Wolfenstein.
Oh, okay.
For a PC, but for console, it was an Atari 2600. Playing that wonderful game E.T.
Mine was also the 2600, my very first console. I think Pac-Man was the first game, though, because I was big. I had Pac-Man fever in the 80s.
I was big on the movie E.T.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
So my parents bought into it, and they bought that damn game.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember as a kid, and I'm sorry to jump the gun here, Zach, but since I had the same one as CB, I just went ahead. I remember being so obsessed with the Atari 2600 as a kid that like I would go to school and I talked about it with my friends and find out which games they had and which games I had. We'd compare, and then we'd bring them to school and trade for like the week. You know, take their cartridges home and they'd take my cartridges home, and just that excitement of coming home with 3 or 4 cartridges, not knowing what you were going to expect. It was just a brand new game that you'd never seen before, and I don't know, by today's standards, going back and looking at what those games were, they weren't great. They weren't great at all. Like, how did we keep ourselves entertained for hours and hours playing the Atari 2600? We used our imagination and score grabbing, I guess.
Because at the time, like, okay, you say that, but you have to remember back then we'd never seen the things that we've seen today.
That's true.
So seeing something moving on a screen that you controlled was amazing.
It was a movie that you were in charge of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, and I know you've experienced it with the Nintendo 64. Like when you go back and play it, you're like, God, I don't remember this looking this bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like you definitely have some blinders on because there was literally nothing else at the time that you could compare it to.
Mm-hmm.
And then growing up, as we watched that generational jump, going from 8-bit to 16 to 32, like every time you were like, I believe it's Bill Gates that was quoted at one point in time, even saying 64 kilobytes. Why would you ever need more than that?
Right.
And now, like, I don't even think a phone can boot up on 64 kilobytes.
Right. And now, like, if you want to get extra hard drive space for your Xbox, I on sale, it was $400 for 2 terabytes. Yeah. I remember the first time someone told me about a terabyte, I was like, why would I ever need a terabyte of space?
Oh man, wait do you start looking higher up at like petabyte and xenobyte and zettabyte?
It's insane. All right, so CB and I were both Atari 2600. Zach, what about you?
I mean, if we're talking about first console you remember playing, it would also be the 2600.
Really? Yeah. Okay, that's right, because your grandpa did the whole like
maybe
bring you up in the order of the consoles, right?
Right. Yeah. So the first game I remember playing was Outlaw,
mm-hmm.
Which is a tremendous game. But as I interpreted the question, I thought you meant like the first game, like the first console, like it felt like you owned.
Oh yeah, the Atari 2600 was the first console I owned. I played a lot of.
Okay, yeah. To me, like it was my grandpa's Atari.
For me.
Mm-hmm.
That he let me play. But the first console that felt like it was mine was the Nintendo 64.
Okay.
And me and my brothers shared a Nintendo 64 that was really secretly Grandpa's Nintendo 64.
Right.
When I lived with them, but then when I lived with just my mom, I did not have a Nintendo 64, and it felt like actual hell. And that's where I really got into PC gaming for a while, playing Baldur's Gate, Time Commando, a bunch of stuff because it was easy to access that stuff.
Right.
When you're a child. But I remember she bought me a Nintendo 64, and I know I've told this story probably on the former podcast of mine, Smirk, where I told a lot of life stories. But she picked me up from my grandma's house. We were driving away. She's like, "Hey, I got you a present. It's in the backseat, but you can't look yet." And I was like, "It's a good kid. I did not look." She's like, "But first I have to tell you some bad news before you get the good news." And I was like, "Okay." And growing up, I had always been told my first stepdad was my biological father. So she picked this car ride to say, like, "Hey, just so you know, Bob is not actually your dad." She's like, "Your dad is so-and-so." At least she was like, "Oh, well, I'm pretty sure."
Jeez.
And because we had to have a DNA test. But she told me this, and like I was on the verge of tears, but she's like, "But if you look in the back, you have your present." And it was a Nintendo 64. And because I was like, 8 or 9 or whatever, immediately was just like, N64! And like she had bought it from a guy from work for cheap, right? So it had like Shadows of the Empire and Ocarina of Time. It was like this golden suite of all these games. And it's simultaneously a legendarily smart move from my mother, distract the child with the thing he's been begging for, because when we moved him out of his I guess I thought my dad's house, I did not have it anymore. I was like, replace the gift. But then also, how terrible to have to avoid the awkward situation as a parent that you've been lying to your child for the first decade of their life by giving them a sweet treat. But that's how I got my N64.
Dude, I'm sorry.
I just think it's a funny story in hindsight or in retrospect. There was like a sweet point in my life where I'm like, well, that was horrifying. But now I just think it's funny. I got a Nintendo 64 out of it.
Now, see, if we go by your rules, it would have been the original Nintendo for me, because the Atari 2600 was my dad's.
See? Yeah, that's why it doesn't feel like mine.
So, but I still have that Atari 2600, so.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I don't have mine. Mine, after I moved out, I left it with my mother with I had 40 or 50 games. And I remember I went back to ask her where it was, and she told me that it had been stolen. Someone had broken into the house and stolen a bunch of stuff.
Probably
I don't think that's true.
Yep, still have my original 2600 that was my dad's, my original NES.
I do have one though. Do you remember when you were helping me clean up my game stuff when I was trying to clean up cables and everything? I've got that boxed Atari 2600. It's not in good shape, but I got a couple games in the boxes and stuff. I've never tried to fire it up, mostly because I don't want to. But
oh, come on, it's the best.
Dude, I have no desire to go back and play Atari 2600 games. I just really don't.
I'm ashamed of you.
Phoenix was good. I liked that one. Yar's Revenge was a lot of
Command.
Fun. I didn't like Missile Command.
They're fun. They're fun in the context of that Xbox game room that they had on 360.
Oh, God. Bring it back.
I know, right? Like, bringing PlayStation Home back, guys. Somebody get out there and do the workout for Game Room. I think it was awesome.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I did have fun. I got one of those plug-and-play Atari that you can get where it comes with two wireless controllers. And you just
emulated Atari.
Yeah. But I actually brought it to my classroom to share with my students, and they had a blast playing the bowling game, of all things, which is not even a ball. It's just like a cube that you roll down a lane. But we had a good time with that. That was fun. Although it's weird because most bowling games nowadays are from behind the bowler down a 3D lane. This is like a bowler going from left to right.
Oh,
rolling a ball this way, and you would steer the ball up and down to hit the pins. That was awkward. So
it's weird.
Yeah, it's very weird. So anyway, those were our first consoles. Let's get to the listeners because they had quite a few responses here. Who wants to start? Anybody?
I will take the first one.
All right, go ahead.
Even though Sean lies in his very first sentence, but that's fine.
Sean Coates. Like all stories about obtaining a new gaming console as a kid, mine is set at Christmas time, though not as crazy or memorable as 8-Bit Christmas. Anyways, my first console was an NES. I was going to say it was 1990, 89. Remember waking
the late 80s.
Yeah, the late 80s. Mine was 88.
Nice.
So I remember waking up Christmas morning and stumbling upon my dad already hooking it up with me for Super Mario Brothers, playing on the TV. It was the set that included the Zapper and the Power Pad. Ooh, that was not the deluxe, but that was no, I think it was the deluxe set, the later version.
I guess his dad loves him. Whatever.
And therefore included the 3-in-1 cart, Mario, Duck Hunt, and World Class Track Meet.
Remember how cool that was? Just putting in that cart and being able to select between Mario Brothers, Duck Hunt, and World Class Track Meet was I can do all these games on this one cartridge. That was a big deal when I was younger.
Yeah, and then you ran into Action 52.
Yeah.
The games I distinctly remember owning were, of course, the Mario games, the Rocketeer. Oof, rough game. Terminator 2. My mom also had the aerobics game. That is a game right there. You flip the power pad over and it had different layout to use that game.
Yeah, everybody used the one side that had just 16, two rows of 4 twice.
Yeah, there was that. There's actually another power pad.
There's a different power pad than the...
It's the Family Fun Fitness power pad.
Okay.
Which is similar to like the yoga style one that was used for the Bandai Family Fun Fitness game. So it's a little more obscure to find. I do not have one.
All right. I'll take the next one. Jay Unkin just said ColecoVision, and he added some pictures of that console. I have never played a ColecoVision, but there were weren't there some Atari 2600 games that were made by ColecoVision?
Yes, well, they were made by Coleco.
Coleco, okay.
So, which is I have a ColecoVision and a full Coleco set, man.
Well, I mean, just because you have it doesn't mean I've never played it. You also have a Zelda Game & Watch, and I've not played that yet.
Yeah, you're not going to.
Gotta go buy one.
Yeah, you got to play the ColecoVision before you can get to the Zelda.
There you go. Okay.
Chip Holt.
Zach, you're up.
Chip Holt writes in, my first console was the Atari 2600. My brother and I got it for Christmas in either 1980 or 81. I can't even tell you guys how many joysticks we went through over the years, not to mention a second console when the original died. My favorite game was Pitfall, but my best game was Atari's Asteroids. I could literally flip the score back to 0. I believe it maxed out at 999,999. Been a long, fun journey to the PS5.
We'll still say Pitfall was a phenomenal game.
Sure was. Aged like a jug of milk, but yeah.
I don't know. It's still very functional and playable for an Atari game.
It sure is functional.
When you realize that you could like go underground, that was like revolutionary then, right?
Scorpions.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well,
it felt like
you were playing Indiana Jones.
A little bit. Yeah.
It's cool.
It's great. And also, I remember Asteroids on the 2600 being cool because the original Asteroids was just like vector graphics, right? Yep. There was no color, so when they brought it to 2600, and actually all the asteroids had color in them.
Oh,
and a little ship that went across that had colors, so that was like a big deal. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Melissa Gunderson.
Melinda.
As a kid,
that's close.
Huh?
It says Melinda, not Melissa.
Oh, Melinda. Sorry, Melinda Gunderson.
Like he's all uppity about mispronouncing his name.
I'm terrible at reading.
Me.
As a kid, I never had my own console. I would go to my aunt's house for holidays and get to play Dizzy. Wow, that is an odd call there.
Is that the egg game where you play as an egg?
Dizzy the Adventure, or the or the Mario Brothers. While we were there, I would play with my brother in his original PlayStation when we were teenagers. I got to play in an Atari that was a friend of my mom's when they stayed with us. Then finally, when I was 18, I bought my first console, and it was a GameCube. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
I had been playing games for years, just never my own. As they say, the rest is history. Man. And I loved my GameCube, man.
Oh, I did too back in the day. SSX and Mario Sunshine.
One, I'm sure Melinda knows this, but Star Fox Adventures Dinosaur Planet, of course.
Oh man, if I could play that without using a GameCube controller, I might like it better.
You shut up, that GameCube controller is great.
I hate that controller.
Yeah, I wish I could play the Switch with a GameCube controller.
It's better than that damn Trident.
Don't get you. Listen to our Star Fox episode. He goes back and forth about that one. Yeah, like I just kind of go back. I was talking about how the PS2 was my first console. I remember because that was the first time I lived alone as well. Because prior to that, I was living with my aunt and uncle, and when I left there and moved in with a roommate, that was the first time I had my own console. That was my own, was the PS2, and Metal Gear Solid 2 was actually no. Spy Hunter was the first game I purchased for myself. I bought it off of eBay so I could play Spy Hunter because I love Spy Hunter so much on the NES and the arcade back in the day.
Dude, that PS2 version was great.
I loved it.
Yeah,
and they actually did the Peter Gunn theme.
Absolutely,
it was like a newer version of it.
And then in the third one, The Rock was the main character.
The third one, there was a third Spy Hunter. Oh,
so they did Spy Hunter 2, and then Spy Hunter Nowhere to Run.
I never played any past the first one.
Oh man,
was there a Spy Hunter movie?
They were going to be. That's why The Rock was in the third video game, because he was also supposed to be in the movie, and then the movie never happened.
Man, I could have swore I saw that movie.
It didn't.
Maybe I'm thinking of the game. Maybe I did play the game then.
It didn't exist.
Okay.
Because I remember foolishly the video game was going to be about the character, Dwayne Johnson's character, and then the movie was going to be about the car, even though logic would tell you to flip that.
Right.
But I remember that was the thing.
Spy Hunter was so cool when I was a kid, but the real one that got me with the PS2 was Metal Gear Solid 2. Because I loved the first one so much, and Metal Gear Solid 2 was a little weird. That was an interesting experience.
Raiden.
But man, the first time you fire up Metal Gear Solid 2, and it's like, that was the first game I remember having like movie credits as you like while action is happening, and you're seeing like played by David Hayter, and you know what I mean, like, or starring David Hayter, and they go through all the cast and everything like it were a movie. Right. I was like, guys, we're here. Video games are now movies.
Well, then you see those rain effects on the tank here, and you're like, this is it. We've peaked with graphics.
Yep. And we say that I wonder when we stop saying that.
I don't know, man. I don't know if any rains ever looked as good.
It looked really good.
Yeah.
Man, I kind of want to just go through and play. Maybe I just need to do like a YouTube video and go back and watch those games, because I just really enjoyed those.
Yeah. No one's stopping.
So much fun. Anyway, next one comes from Jordan Derringer. He says, my first console was the NES. When I was a child, my grandfather had an NES. We lived with her, and when my mom got sick, and we played Super Mario Brothers and Tetris together all the time. After some time, we found Super Mario Brothers 3, and we found love for a whole new game together. Fast forward to the Switch. It was the coolest feeling ever, getting to bring it over to her house and load up the Nintendo Online NES app and play all the old games we used to play together again. That's a great story.
Well,
I love that. And Jordan's grandma, if I'm not mistaken, is still plays games to this day, because he bought her a PlayStation VR.
Nice.
Because she wanted a VR helmet. So kudos to Jordan and his gaming grandma, because the thought of, like, think of your grandma right now, both of you, whether they're still with us or not. Could you imagine playing video games with either of them?
One of them.
One of them? Yeah.
Only Wii Bowling.
Okay,
Yeah, whatever.
Wii Bowling did not exist when my grandma was still around.
Yeah.
But anyway, CB, you're up.
I'm pretty sure I am, right?
Yeah, no, it's Zach.
Oh, my bad.
Even though it's gonna make me sad to pitch this one to you.
Oh boy. Aaron Hughes II says, Sega Genesis was my first console. Had all the attachments too, 32X and CD. Man, what a cool time for games. I still have flashbacks to Gunstar Heroes with my friends. Thank you, Nintendo and Sega, for putting that in the collection. And blasting away bad guys with the light guns. The good old days. Those add-ons were pretty cool.
They look cool, but they were terrible.
Yeah.
The only game I remember playing on Sega CD was Super Shark.
Vin Diesel.
Super Shark.
That was Vin Diesel?
Well, he did the commercial for Super Shark.
Oh.
Yeah.
You can look it up on YouTube. It's awesome.
Tomcat Alley, Sonic 3D. The 32X, the first console I ever, because our neighbor had one. And the first time I saw like the whole Tower of Power put together, I'm like, this is ridiculous. And then we played Primal Rage, where one of your moves is like you pee on somebody. I'm like, what is this?
Well, when you're 13, that's pretty funny.
Oh yeah,
right. Yeah. Or Rampage, similar.
Yep. Let's see, Andrew. I can never pronounce this last name.
Zach.
Or what's Zach?
Andrew.
Yes, Andrew D. I was dropped off along with my sisters at another family's house to hang out while my parents went and did something. I wonder
that
what.
Sounds ominous.
Yeah, well, yeah. Or,
they had an NES and they were playing the Mario Duck Hunt cart. I don't think that I got to play it because I was the youngest, so I got handed the controller that didn't control Mario or the zapper. Oh man, you would have controlled the duck.
Yeah.
I was told to shoot the Koopas when my parents came back to pick us up. My mom got to try it out and said, "We need to get one of these." I was surprised that we eventually did get one. We were raised poor, and to ask for anything was shameful, so I cherished everything I ever got. Now that I know a little bit about gaming history, I think my mom wanted it for herself too. She worked at Macy's at the time, and they were being sold there exclusively. Her favorite game is Dr. Mario. Good choice for your mother. They love that game.
Nintendo's exclusively at Macy's?
In certain areas of the country, Macy's had exclusivity rights until Walmart came in. And then they started in Walmart's, moved to Kmart's, and Marshall Fields.
I did not know that. Look at that. I learned something today.
The more you know.
Thanks for the story, Andrew. That was good. Scott Kilgaro says, a neighbor friend had an Intellivision, which is the first console I ever played. First console I owned was an Atari 2600. Biggest memory for some reason is Pitfall and that electronic music noise it would make whenever you swung on one of the vines. Played that game endlessly. I can hear it in my head right now. It's almost like a wannabe Tarzan sound. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to get a lot of heat from a lot of different people about saying Pitfall aged poorly.
No,
yeah, you're gonna get some heat from me.
I mean, jumping on the heads of crocodiles was impossible.
Yeah.
And you like the Fast and the Furious movies. You need to shut your mouth.
I don't know what the correlation there is.
I don't either.
Just ridiculousness.
I'm not saying they were ridiculous.
You're saying like jumping on the heads of crocodiles. It was hard, but if you knew how to do it, man,
it was tough. It was tough.
I don't know what that has to do with Fast and Furious. But jumping over,
I thought he was talking that it was stupid.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, hopping over to Discord, Thomas Bex writes in, my first console was a PS3. I got it because it had the best Blu-ray player that you could get. As a home computer PC gamer, I never bought a console or even played much on one before. I use that PS3 more as a Blu-ray player than as a gaming console, to be honest. I'm pretty sure as Thomas wrote this comment, his pinky was extended, his monocle was in place, as he lived as a PC elitist.
It's funny because my PS3 never played a game.
Yeah.
I did the same thing. I used it exclusively as a Blu-ray player.
I played it a lot, but it was the best Blu-ray player on the market, and why not get it why not get it when you pay a little bit extra and also play cool games on it?
I did until I realized that almost I think it was 80% of all games during that generation were coded on a Microsoft PC or Xbox and then ported over, which is why a large majority of the PS3 library is only 720p.
Well, not only do I not care about resolution, but those exclusives slapped.
Such as?
Uncharted, Infamous.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Infamous was so good. That first Infamous.
Those first two Infamous are great. I'm not into second son as much.
But all I have to say is Gears.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, that's also great.
That's all you gotta say. Gears.
Oh, man. Let's see. Next comment comes from Mark Szymanski. He says, my first console was an Atari 400. And you're going to have to help me out here, CB. Did they just put zeros behind these things to make them sound more important? Like why 400, 800, 2600?
It was just what they named them.
Okay.
400, 800, 16, 12, 16, the XL. There's a few. They were basically updated versions of PC consoles because that was that weird era.
Okay. Mark goes on to say, it was a group gift from my siblings and me. Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, Dig Dug, Frogger on cassette. In addition, it wasn't a new system, so I found 10 games at Big Lots for $2 each. You could also create programs that came with a basic programming language cartridge. It was the beginning of my career choice, and I was only 6 at the time. Look at that. Video games making careers for people. I love it.
Man. Yeah. I just love cassettes.
This is Discord, by the way. I should have mentioned that. Go ahead, CB. You are up.
I think it's Zach again.
Oh my God, I keep doing that, Zach. I'm sorry. I just keep wanting to skip you for some reason.
Are you on Fierce? Or you're Brandon Smith or are you on Fierce? Where am I at here?
Fierce.
All right. Fierce says the 2020 Atari 2600. I had just spent the night at my buddy's house for what was my very first sleepover. My mother picked me up the next day and showed me it was in the trunk. She had just bought it. Pac-Man and Othello. Eventually more. Combat and Circa Atari were hilarious. E.T. and Raiders of the Lost Ark made me want to go outside and ride my bike. But I'll never forget Vanguard. Whenever you got to power up, it played the Bird Warriors theme from Flash Gordon. Wow, that's cool. So awesome. The first actual music I heard as a background for a game that wasn't just sound effects.
That's interesting.
Good.
Vanguard
also
was
a good choice.
Vanguard was a great game, man. Are you familiar with that game, Zach?
No, can't say that I am.
So it was. Would you call it a shmup? I don't even know if you would call it a shmup.
Kind of.
Your ship would shoot in all four directions. So not only would the joystick control where the ship went, but it also controlled what direction it would shoot. So if you were moving to the right, it would shoot to the right. But the game would constantly change from like left to right and then going to straight up, like, which was again mind blowing at the time. Yeah. And he's right. Whenever you got the power up, it would make that. I can hear the jingle in my head right now. That was a great game. That was one that you felt like you beat as well. Yeah. It wasn't just score. It was like trying to get through and survive. That one I would go back and play.
See, there we go. Doing the things. Brandon Smith, the Atari 2600. And I still have it hooked up to an old TV tube about 9 feet away from where I'm sitting in my office right now.
Nice.
I'm noticing a trend here.
Yeah. A lot of 2600 talk. Kevin Honigford says, man, I could talk about this for hours and hours. My passion for video games started with some of my earliest memories. It wasn't from a single source, however. I couldn't have been more than 6 or 7 years old. My first experiences were with the Intellivision and my dad's IBM with 5-inch floppy disks. Some of my favorite memories involve my dad involved these two things. On Intellivision, I very vividly remember watching him play Night Stalker for me because I couldn't get very far. Again, on Intellivision, I remember being scared out of my pants as he helped me play Advanced Dungeons & Dragons when the dragon would make that generic hissing sound, alarming you that you were close. Then on his IBM, he taught me how to run programs from DOS and look up file directories to be able to boot up games like Ninja and Tank. Still not sure if he showed me in a mentoring aspect or because he was tired of booting them up for me over and over again. Regardless, this is what sparked my interest in PC gaming that erupted into the flame that it is today. Great story, Kevin. That was awesome.
Do you still know how to run DOS, Scott?
I have no clue how to run DOS.
Oh, man.
I know
dating
nothing
myself
about
there.
Huh?
Said I'm dating myself there.
Yeah,
I
mean, I know what DOS is, but I wouldn't know how to boot it up or anything like that.
All right.
That was a good story. This might be my favorite one, Zach. I'm excited for you to read this one.
Alan Sheck here.
Yeah.
Nice of you to finally remember I exist, Scott.
Yes,
Alan Sheck writes, my mom always tells me the story of when I was 2 years old and she had a leading edge Model D that ran on MS-DOS. There was some construction game or something that ran on it that I liked. It was upstairs in the office and she was pregnant with my twin sisters and she was at the point where she would have trouble climbing the stairs, but I would want to play. She would send me up and yell instructions at what I would need to enter in the command line to pull up the games, and it blew her mind that I was actually able to get it running.
I love that story.
That is great. That's good. That's good stuff.
Mom is yelling up the commands.
I can just see it now. Alan, type CD/.
Alan!
So good.
Alan!
Wow,
Alan.
Jurassic Park 3 reference.
Yeah, it was. It was.
All right.
Last one, CB.
Oh, no, we got 2 more.
Oh, you're right.
I have David Newman here, though.
Mm-hmm.
My first console was the Sega Genesis. I don't know when my family actually got the console, but my earliest memories were playing the Lion King game. That's probably why I'm not big into side-scrolling platformers. That game was brutal, and I don't know if I'll ever make it past the second or third level. Never steered me away from gaming. Loved playing games like Altered Beast and Sonic. I can't remember if I think it's the Super Nintendo version that's actually the broken version.
I can't remember. They're both hard.
Yeah.
They're both hard, but I know specifically one of the 2 versions is actually got an error in the coding that you cannot get past the level because the ears you can grab on the one level, you can't.
Okay. I know it's not the Genesis version because I've beaten the Genesis version.
Okay, that it's the Super Nintendo version that's actually specifically broken.
I will never forget that because it starts at the beginning of that game they do that line from the movie and It's a tough game. That will do it, man. I remember watching Altered Beast at the kiosk at Kmart. That's how long ago that was. And just thinking
flame wave background.
It had the wave background and it had voice in it. Wise from your grave. It sounded like Elmer Fudd trying to sound like a demon.
Altered Beast, I remember I couldn't even convince myself to like as a kid. I thought it was so terrible.
Oh, it was an awful game.
Yes.
But it looked cool. Yeah. It looked cool in the kiosk when you couldn't play it.
Right. Yeah.
It just looked incredible. It was an awful game. All right, last one. We actually got a Twitter response from Just Filthy at Just Filthy Gamin'. Mine was the NES, but before I got that, I grew up playing Pac-Man arcade machine in my dad's restaurant. Yeah, arcade machines are definitely probably even before I played.
Yeah, I never even thought about that.
But I don't consider that a console.
It's a really big console.
It's a really big console. Yes, I can attest that it's a very big console, seeing how I moved 3 of them into your basement.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh my God, Zach, I wish you could have seen me. I was the most terrified I think I've ever been in my entire life.
I told you to bail on him.
He did. He really did.
I was advocating for bailage.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for all the comments, and especially considering I did not get this up until, Saturday night? I think is when I posted these, or maybe it was even Sunday. It might have been Sunday yesterday.
It was Sunday, yeah.
Yeah.
So I apologize. It was so late for me to get that out there, but you guys came through and had some awesome comments, so really appreciate it. Next week's topic will be the first of the month, so we're going to go back to community questions. So get those questions ready. I'll be posting on social media and with requests for questions that we can answer on next week's show. But that's going to do it for this episode of The Gaming Outsider. It's time for us to get out of here. Zach, do you have any parting words or recommendations before we head out for the day?
Yeah, I just discovered this new comic called The Last God. It is book 1 of the Fellspire Chronicles. It refers to itself. And it's a comic trade. It comes in hardcover. It's amazing because the dust jacket folds out into a map, which is super cool.
Wow.
But it's this like dark fantasy comic book, which I don't feel like you see a whole lot in comic book format, the dark fantasy. But it's just like this dense world, like there's prose short stories in between every comic issue. But it's just, it's incredibly well written. It's about this king killed this last god 30 years ago. Only he did, is the hook. He lied to his people basically to gain power. You don't know what kind of deal he struck with the last god, but it turns out he is not the hero you thought he was, and the party did not kill this god 30 years ago. They've just been lying to everybody and basically putting themselves in positions of power. It's kind of a cool hook. The characters are very complicated and complex, and I guess the big hook is that the king who lied about killing the last god to save the realm gets killed like right away, so they have no answers or anything. So like the whole continent is just kind of scrambling. But it's just a great, dense, very dark fantasy story, and I think it's great. And the writer Phil Kennedy Johnson's doing some good stuff on Superman right now, but it's nice to see where he kind of cut, a bit of a harder edged roots. And I had some questions about pronunciation of character names, and he just responded to me on Twitter with the pronunciations, which I thought was a very classy move.
Wow, that's cool. Huh.
Good on that
Very
guy.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being here, man. It was great chatting with you as always. CB, how about you?
Unfortunately, if you want to hear what I've been doing this week, you're going to have to listen to a Patreon episode.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
So
you're ending our episode with an ad.
I will leave it at that. Shameless plug.
There you go. As for me, I don't have too much exciting I did this week. I will give a tip. It's a weird tip because it's a game I haven't played, so that's why I didn't put it in the the games we're catching up on. But I saw that the Mummy Demastered is on sale on Xbox Live right now for $10. I've been waiting for that game to come on sale, so I literally bought it right before we started recording. So I haven't had a chance to play it. But if you're looking to, everyone raves about this game as it being a great gear-gated 2D adventure. So I'm intrigued to check it out. I'll report back next week. So
I've heard it's one of those better than the movie instances.
Well, I've not heard a good thing about that movie, so I don't think it was a high bar.
Sofia Boutella was fun as the villain.
I haven't seen it, so I can't speak to it.
That's about as far as it gets.
Yeah, that was the one good thing.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you, everybody, for listening. Want to remind you again that The Gaming Outsider is produced by Nate Lucas, and all the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemage and Metroid Metal. His website is stemagemusic.com. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Until next week, I'm Scott Clark with Zach Parkerson and Chris Behrensmeyer, and we are The Gaming Outsider. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.